everyone, a cheerful good morning to all of you. Hope all of you are doing great. So every day may not be good for all of you, but there is something good in every day. So wishing you a lucky day ahead. With this, let's start our session. Are you ready? So let's continue. Yesterday we have stopped heterotrophic organisms. In heterotrophic organisms, as I have told, it is the most abundant group. It is the most abundant group. And what are the uses? They are important decomposers. They are important decomposers. Uses, they make curd from milk. So yesterday's portion, just I am revising it once again. Okay. So making curd from milk. Okay. Which bacteria is converting the milk to curd? Lactobacillus bacteria is converting milk into curd with the help of lactobacillus bacteria. So lactose, with the help of fermentation process, it is converting to lactic acid. And as I have told you, some soil bacteria are the sources of streptomycin and tetracycline. And N2 fixation is taking place in leguminous plant, rhizobium plants. Also, we have talked about the harmful effects and the pathogens: cholera, typhoid fever, tetanus and citrus. Yesterday we have just gone through. So let's continue with. So coming to bacterial reproduction, they reproduce asexually as well as sexually. In bacterial reproduction, it occurs asexually as well as sexually. So in here, in asexual reproduction, one bacteria is involved. In asexual reproduction, one bacteria is involved. While in sexual reproduction, two bacteria are involved. In sexual reproduction, two bacteria are involved. And in asexual reproduction, it takes place through binary fission. Asexual reproduction takes place through binary fission. If suppose sometime under the unfavorable condition, this bacterium may convert into spore. Can you see the image of spore here? So in binary fission, if it is the conditions are not favorable, they may convert into spore. So in the binary, the bacterial cells may divide into two. The reproduction rate mainly depends on the genus as well as the species. For example, E. coli, if it divides in 2 minutes, 20 minutes to 40 minutes, double of it, then 1 hour, double of it. What happens here? The number of bacteria will be increasing. So naturally, what happens here? The competition for the food takes place. Okay, for the competition of the food increases here. So naturally, the metabolic rates accumulates, and this will lead the death of the bacterial cells. So now coming to the spore. So spore can survive in any unfavorable condition. This spore will be surviving in any unfavorable condition. Why it is surviving? Because of the presence of the protective pores that which is present in the spore. The protective pores that which is present around the spores. That's what it is able to survive in the unfavorable condition. But during the favorable condition, what happens? This spores will be germinating and it will become again into a single active cell again. Okay, then it will be becoming again a single active cell. So is it clear? Now, sexual reproduction, as I have told, when a bacterial reproduction will be taking place asexually as well as sexually. Asexual in binary fission as well as spore. And in conjugation, sexual reproduction will be taking place through conjugation. Okay. So what is conjugation? Conjugation means transfer of genetic material called plasmid. Okay, transfer of the genetic material, that is plasmid, from one bacterial cell to another bacterial cell. How? Through a bridge-like connection. Can you see here? A bridge-like connection is here. So that is termed as pilus. Okay, that bridge-like connection is termed as pilus. So conjugation usually occurs very rarely. So now let's see once again, let's revise it. Bacterial reproduction taking place through two ways, asexually as well as sexually, through binary fission and spores, and sexual reproduction through conjugation. Hope it is clear to you. Now let us see what are mycoplasmas. So what are mycoplasmas? It's a genus of bacteria. It's a genus of bacteria, and no, it has no cell wall. It doesn't have cell wall, and they can change shapes. That's what it is termed as pleomorphic. They can assume any shapes. That's what they are called, the joggers of the microbiological park. That's what they are termed as, joggers of the microbiological park. And they are the smallest living cells. They are the smallest living cells. They can survive without oxygen. They are able to survive without oxygen. Pathogenic in animals and plants. They cause diseases in plants and animals. Is it clear, the features of mycoplasma? So let's continue. So yesterday we have discussed regarding kingdom Monera. So kingdom Monera is over. The characteristic features of kingdom Monera is over. We have divided it into ancient bacteria, archaebacteria, as well as eubacteria, true bacteria. As I have told you, eubacteria is divided into based on the mode of nutrition. We have termed it into photoautotropic as well as chemoautotropic and heterotrophs. We have divided it, and based on that we have learned all the features, and also we have learned about the mycoplasmas. As I have told you, the microorganisms are involved in the kingdom Monera. Now coming to the kingdom, next kingdom, that is kingdom Protista. So let's learn the characteristic features of kingdom Protista. We all know that it consists of a unicellular, it consists of cell organelles. So let's see the characteristic features of kingdom Protista. As I have told you, the characteristic feature of the kingdom Protista, they are unicellular. They consist of cell organelles. The first point, the important point that you have to remember. Now we have to see the forms a link with kingdom Fungi, Plantae and Animalia. It forms a link between, see, you can see here, kingdom Fungi, Plantae and Animalia. And we can say that they are primarily aquatic. They are primarily aquatic, and they can reproduce in both the ways, sexually as well as asexually. So kingdom Protista, it's divided into chrysophytes, dinoflagellates, euglenoids, slime molds and protozoans. So chrysophytes, dinoflagellates, euglenoids, slime molds and protozoans. Chrysophytes, dinoflagellates and euglenoids are photosynthetic protists. They are photosynthetic protists. What do you mean by photosynthetic? They prepare their own food. Now slime molds are saprophytic protists. What do you mean by saprophytic? Saprophytic, we all know that living as a parasites or living in other host. Okay, living in plants, either in plants or in animals, or depending upon the dead organic matter. That's what the saprophytes means. Next, protozoans, they are predator or parasitic. So kingdom Protist, they are divided into chrysophytes, dinoflagellates, euglenoids, slime molds and protozoans. So let's see each one in detail. So the first example of kingdom Protist is chrysophytes. So let us see the characteristic features of chrysophytes. So first of all, they are photosynthetic. What is the meaning of photosynthetic? As I have told you earlier, in the kingdom Monera also, kingdom Protist also, I have told you that they are preparing their own food. Then they are freshwater as well as marine habitat. Habitat is a place where they dwell. Okay, so they are freshwater as well as they are marine. And examples for the chrysophytes are diatoms. You can see here the image of diatoms, and the next one is golden algae, desmids are the examples for chrysophytes. So let's see the second group. Now let us see the examples of chrysophytes. I have told you diatoms and desmids are the examples of chrysophytes. So diatoms, What are diatoms? They are the chief producers of the ocean. They are the chief producers of the ocean. And also they have a cell wall. Cell wall. Okay. Two thin overlapping shells like soap dish. So you may be using soap dish, no? So you may know that how it is being compressed, the upper layer as well as the lower layer. Okay, two boxes will be there. So the upper layer is termed as epitheca and the lower layer is termed as hypotheca. Is it clear? Now let's see the next one. So before going to the desmids, let me tell you one more thing, that when this organism, when the diatoms dies, the only thing, as I have told, it has a cell wall. So the only thing remaining will be of its cell wall. So what will happen? This cell wall will be in a huge accumulation, means accumulated cell walls of diatoms. What happens? It deposits a lot of silica. Since they are abrasive in nature, they are used for polishing purposes also. So now let's see the another example, desmid. Another group of organisms that belongs to kingdom Protista, under that chrysophytes. Okay, examples are desmids and I have told you diatoms. So another one is desmids. So another group of organisms that comes under chrysophytes. Another group of protists that which comes under chrysophytes. They are desmids and diatoms. Just now we have learned the characteristic feature of special features of desmid also. Sorry, what we have learned just now? Diatoms. Now, it is unicellular. These desmids are unicellular. It is divided into two by a narrow bridge. These desmids are divided into two. You can see here in the diagram, it is divided into two equal halves. Okay. So, two compartments are there. Two compartments. So, nucleus is located in the bridge. That means the connecting bridge. So, here you can see the two compartments and nucleus is located in the center where there is connection. Okay, so once again I will just, there should not be any confusion regarding this. We are learning about kingdom protist. So, we have learned the it is divided into 5, isn't it? So, I have told chrysophytes, dinoflagellates, we have learned. So, chrysophytes we have learned, it is again two examples, diatoms and desmids. We have learned about diatoms. So when the organisms dies, only the thing remaining is that cell wall, and since the cell wall remains, the huge accumulation of cell wall will be there, and what happens naturally, that will be a heap of, means a lot of silicas will be deposited there, and since that they are abrasive in nature, we are using it for the polishing purposes. And next one we have learned was regarding desmids. This also comes under kingdom protist. Okay, kingdom protist. Under that chrysophytes. Examples of chrysophytes are desmids and diatoms. So desmids, they are unicellular and it is divided into two compartments, and the connection between the compartment, there is a connection, narrow bridge like, and there the nucleus is being present. So let's see the next group. So here comes the second group of protists. They are dinoflagellates. Second group of protists, they are dinoflagellates. So what are dinoflagellates? Let's see. They are photosynthetic and marine. Okay, they are photosynthetic and marine, and they have pigments. Chlorophyll pigment. If chlorophyll pigment is present, then they appear to be green in color because of the presence of the chlorophyll. They appear in green in color. Beta carotene. So because of the presence of yellow. Okay, this pigment they appear in yellow color. Because of the pigment of beta carotene, they appears yellow in color, and because of the pigment xanthophyll pigments, they appears in golden brown. Is it clear? Then organism Nautiluca scintillans exhibit bioluminescence. So this is the process. Can you see the image here? This is Nautiluca scintillans exhibit bioluminescence. It's really a beautiful sight. So they exhibit this bioluminescence. It is said that they exhibit this bioluminescence to escape from the predators. And body of this is enclosed in stiff cellulose plates. Okay, body is enclosed with stiff cellulose plates, and this has two unequal flagella. One in longitudinal section and one in transverse section, one in longitudinal section and one in transverse section. And when this gonial X undergoes multiplication, what happens? The C appears to be red, and that particular term is referred as red tide. Okay, so when this gonial X, this organism undergoes multiplication, so what happens? The C appears to be red, and this is known as red tide. Actually, they are very, very harmful because they are producing a toxic effect. So, a lot of organisms may die there. That's what it is, toxic. So, let's see the next group. So, the third group that which comes under the kingdom protist are euglenoids. So, euglena. The third group that which come under kingdom protist are euglenoids. So, euglena, they are photosynthetic and they are found in fresh water. Okay, they don't have a rigid cell wall. Instead, they will be having a layer called pellicle. Can you see here the image? They will be having a layer called pellicle. And this pellicle makes their body flexible. Okay, so they have one long flagella. Can you see here? The long flagella and a short one. The longest flagella is used for the movement. Okay, and the shortest flagella will be acting as photoreceptor. This shortest flagella will be acting as photoreceptor. And this euglena will be having two types of mode of nutrition. What are they? They are autotrophs and heterotrophs also. Autotrophs, as you all know, they are able to prepare their food by themselves. Heterotrophs, they are depending upon other organisms for their food. So here, this euglena also, in the presence of sunlight, what they do? They will be preparing their own food. But in the absence of sunlight, they turn heterotrophic. As I have told you, this euglena is autotrophic as well as heterotrophic. In the presence of sunlight, they are able to prepare food, and in the absence of sunlight, they will be absorbing the food from the surroundings. They will be absorbing the nutrients from the surroundings. And this euglena are having chloroplast also. Okay, they have chlorophyll in chloroplast. Is it clear? So now let's move to the next one. Our next group is that which comes under kingdom protist are slime molds. Okay, slime molds. So they are saprophytic protist. What do you mean by saprophytic? As I have told you just now. So they will be parasites depending upon the plants or animals or depending upon the dead organic matters. So if there are favorable conditions, for example, if food is available, what happens? They form multinucleate. Okay, they form multinucleate and termed as plasmodium. That is, this will be growing only when the conditions are favorable. Okay. So, and it becomes sporangia and it will be bearing spores, as you see here in the image. If conditions are unfavorable, what happens? Or drought occurs, what happens? So, the plasmodium will be turning into fruiting body, termed as sporangia, and some other will be turning into spores, as you see here in the image, spores. So, these will be having thin walls and they are extremely able to survive for the years. These spores, they will be able to survive for years. When conditions are favorable, the spores will be germinating again and the slime mold, its life cycle, they will be continuing. So now let's see the last group of kingdom protists. They are protozoans. So what are the characteristic features of the protozoans? They are heterotrophs. They are heterotrophs and they are predators or parasites and primitive relatives of animals. Then aquatic, freshwater and marine. They are aquatic, freshwater and marine. And next characteristic, the protozoans, their organs of locomotion. So amoeboid type of movement, flagellated movement, they exhibit ciliated movement, and sporozoans are showing gliding movement. Amoeboid with the help of pseudopodia, flagellated with the help of flagella, and ciliated with the help of cilia, and finally in sporozoans no special organs are present for the sporozoans. They will be having gliding motility. Is it clear? So what are amoeboid protozoans. They live in fresh water. They are marine, or they will be living in moist soil. And also they will be capturing the food using pseudopodia. So you can see here the pseudopodia. Can you see it? So these are pseudopodia. With this help of pseudopodia, they will be engulfing the food materials. Okay, they will be capturing the food. They will be capturing the predators. And flagellated protozoans, they will be possessing flagella. They are free living or parasite. Parasitic forms will be causing sickness. That means Trypanosoma brucei. This is an organism, Trypanosoma brucei. These will be causing sleeping sickness. What do you mean by sleeping sickness? Those who are having this protozoan, their sleeping cycle will be affected. That's what this name of the disease is, sleeping sickness. Okay, can you see the Trypanosoma brucei? The next is of ciliated protozoans. So these protozoans, with the help of cilia, they will be able to move. So with the help of cilia, see all over the body there are cilia is present. They will be capturing the food through the oral route, and food will be consumed here, vacuoles, and food is digestion will be taking place here, and through anal probe it exhibits. Okay, so it excretes, okay, through the anal probe. Is it clear? And here comes sporozoans. Sporozoans, they will be forming spores. They are having, they don't have any flagella or cilia for their movement. As I have told you, sporozoans will be having a gliding movement, and they are parasitic. At the same time, they are pathogenic too. An example for this is Plasmodium vivax, that will be causing this Plasmodium vivax, that will be causing malaria. Okay. So here now you will be, some of you will be confused. In two places I have used Plasmodium. Okay, so one in sporozoan and another one in slime mold. What are the major differences between this Plasmodium in slime mold as well as the where I have used sporozoan? Both the places I have used Plasmodium, isn't it? So the first major difference is that one is multinucleated and another one is uninucleated. And here one is saprophytic while the other one is, in the sporozoan it is parasitic. Saprophytic means depending upon the dead organic matters. Parasitic means living as a host on, depending on the host, living in the plants or the animals. So hope this chapter, this kingdom protist is clear to you. We have learnt kingdom protist. Under that we have learnt chrysophytes, dinoflagellates, protist, we have learnt protozoans, isn't it? So different movement we have learnt here. So please go through it, learn properly, go through your NCERT text also. So learn well children. Happy learning to all of you. So happy day. Thank you very much.